All right, we're getting started here with the introduction to recording clinic with Will Maher is going to be our guest instructor here today, and we're going to start with just really doing a brief tutorial on using your voice recorder on your phone, and then we will jump into some like deeper topics of just recording in general and we'll probably just stick to mostly recording here today, getting it into your phone or tablet or DAW on your laptop or whatever. And then I think there's a plane going overhead right now. Um, and and then we'll take some Q&A at the end just to see if we have any questions, like specific tech questions to what you're working on, so that we can help you through that too. Okay, so
Right
here's
on.
Will. Kick it off,
Okay.
Will.
Oh, I'm kicking it off. All right. Okay. So, yeah, today, like Jared was talking about, mainly what we want you guys to get out of this is, yeah, just how to make a recording on like technology that everybody already has at home, right? Like phones, tablets, stuff like that. Can actually make really, really great sounding stuff, with these very common kind of tools. So we'll do some of that using voice memo, right? And then we'll get into doing some DAW stuff. We'll use GarageBand for that. Okay, so first off, voice memo, right? That's what it's called on Apple products. So it's like voice note, I think, on Android stuff. But every phone has some sort of program in it where we're able to just record audio from the microphone. And before we get into that, let's just take a second and let's think about what sound is, right? So what sound is vibrations. It's high-pitched sounds are things vibrating fast. Low-pitched sounds are things vibrating slow. And in particular, when we're talking about sound, we're talking about air vibrating, okay? And so we got these great things, our ears, and they're like two little microphones, and they just pick up vibration in the sound. So the vibrations in the air, and then our brain analyzes how fast that was moving, and then we get this conception of a high note or a low note. You can think about it just like ripples of water and waves in a pool or something like that. And we can splash something that's small really quick, and we make short, quick ripples. We can splash something big and slow, and we're going to make big, long ripples. Sound works the exact same way. So when we're playing music, right, we're using our voice, using a guitar or something, and we're vibrating the air around us. And that's what people who are physically in our presence, right, can hear that as music that we're making. Something like voice memo, all we're doing is we're catching that vibration in the air. We're storing it digitally so that later on, anybody can listen back to that performance that we made. So I know that's probably pretty straightforward, basic information,
Yeah,
for everyone, right? But it's important to be thinking about that when we're recording and we're putting on microphones. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm gonna pull up voice memo, and we're gonna go through, just the mechanics of how this program actually works, and it's pretty straightforward and simple. But then I also am gonna make two recordings for you guys to hear. One, I'm gonna be very close to the device that's recording right now. Right now, it's my tablet. Second one, I'm gonna move back here, okay? And we're gonna hear how different those two recordings sound. And why is it? Well, because the air is vibrating in a different way when I'm here than it is when I'm way back here, right? Cool. So, right, so on an Apple product, let me share screen here. All right, can you guys see my screen now?
yep.
Cool. All right, so this is voice memo, right? So on a tablet, an Apple tablet, right? It looks like that. But whatever program you're using, it's going to have a similar kind of interface to this. There's going to be somewhere something that looks like a big red button, and that's our record. Okay, so it's really just as simple as that. We press it, it starts recording. So anything that's vibrating in the air around your microphone for the time that it's recording is going to be picked up and stored as sound. So first thing I'm going to do, so when I'm doing this, can you guys see my camera still? Or is that?
No, I think we just see your screen, really.
Okay.
We'd have to set up two accounts to have that work, but
right.
Maybe next time we can do that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so so that you guys know what I'm doing right now. I am like right up on top of my tablet. The other really important thing to be thinking about here when we're recording with something like this is lots of times the sound quality is going to be best if we're using headphones. One, we're going to be able to hear what we're recording better, but also in some of the different DAW situations, we might run into feedback situation if we're not using headphones. We'll talk about what that means when we get there. But anyway, so I got headphones on. I'm way up close to my recorder, and here we go. So I'm going to play. Cool. Now I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to move like 10 feet back. Cool. All right. So did that sound very different to you guys on that end? Just listen to back right there.
It sounded pretty similar, but it maybe in the recording of it, it's going to sound different. I'm thinking that. I think we're just hearing the mic.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So one, we can see, can you guys see this waveform right here? Right. They look a little bit different.
Right.
Right. So this first one that we did, it's not as big a peaks. Right. We got spill louder. So let's listen back to these. Here we go. So I'm going to play. Okay.
It sounds better actually recorded through there. And that was the close mic, right?
That was the close mic. So right. Here's me back of the room. Okay, so right off, it's a different, let's just listen to this again, right? That's close. This is far away. Okay, so hear how it sounds almost like underwater or something?
Yeah.
So what that is we call those phase cancellations. And then also it's a more reverby, roomy sound, right? So when I was further back in the room, the sound takes longer to reach the microphone, and we're getting more sounds hitting the microphone that are bouncing off walls in this room, right? When I was really up close, there was way more sound going boom, direct from my guitar right into the microphone. It was still picking up echo and stuff from in the room, but it was quieter in comparison to the direct sound.
Right.
Right? So which one of these is better? Well, they just sound different, right? Like if the one that sounds more open and phasey and reverby, where I was further back, that might sound really good, like tucked into a track, right? If it's a rhythm part or it's in the back. But essentially what we're doing is we're adding reverb by being in this space, adding echo.
Right.
When we are, that more direct, when we were close, that would be great for, something that's more prominent in the recording, right? A guitar solo or a lead vocal, maybe something like that. But in a situation like this, where we're just talking about doing a live performance, and maybe somebody's singing and playing at the same time, or maybe there's a couple different people playing in the room at the same time. Right, we generally going to be closer, more direct is going to get a better sound. We can always add more echo and stuff, as we will see later. But
you can't really take it away.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a haircut, right?
Yes.
You can't put it back on if you cut too much hair off, right?
That is exactly. Yep. Totally right. And generally in recording, it's a lot easier to afterwards make things sound like they're further away than bring them closer. There is things we can do with compression and EQ that can bring stuff closer, but for the most part, it's better to record it sounding too close than too far, right?
Right. And we'll talk more about, we'll do another session where we do some editing and production, where we talk about compression and gating and, all of that kind of stuff that you can do to make something sound closer to you.
Yeah.
Or put you in a space. That's pretty much what we're going to do with effects, right? Is isolate a signal to get it to sound like what we want with compression and equalization, EQ, and then you'll use delays and reverbs and different modulations and stuff to put it in a space, right? So
yes,
that's
exactly right.
So you want to so when you were talking about using headphones, that's also going to help with bleed, right? Right.
Yes.
If you're using a computer with a microphone and it has a speaker, which actually we're doing right now, is that my microphone right here is next to my laptop computer, or my desktop, and you're actually hearing a little bit of the speaker come through my microphone as well, right?
Correct.
And that can make the sound not sound as isolated, because it's pretty much, it's doubling the signal.
Right. And when we start playing along with, here, let me pull up GarageBand now. This is probably a good time to do that. Anyone else have any more questions about voice memo before I tuck that away?
Oh, how would you export that if you had a recording?
So they all have some sort of like share type thing. But so here, we would click on this, this is the kind of the universal Apple symbol for share, that, right? And then right there, boom, on this, it's coming up with, I can send it via mail.
Email might be a quick, easy way. Just you could say you have a recording and you want to send it to us. You could just email if you have something and you want us to give you some feedback on it, or if you have like your songwriting, the song that you're writing for the songwriting competition, you can just put it in your Google Drive, everything right there, or just email to us at info@rockdalemusic.com. And so that's great. That's easy. That's voice memo. That's the simplest, quickest way to just get something recorded. We talked about this in the songwriting clinic yesterday. This is great. This is a great tool for songwriting because it's already set up. And when you're doing demos, you just put it somewhere, put it on your coffee table, record something like that just to get an idea down, right? So this is a really good tool for that. Is this something that you're going to record with to release on, Apple Music? No. Maybe.
Probably not. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe you could.
Bill Collins in the Air Tonight, like most of what you hear on that track was just his like demo. He came back home from the pub one night and just like put together some stuff and wasn't trying to make it sound good. So who knows? You might find something.
Like Will said, like you wanted to use it. Maybe you could use the recording as an effect. You want to sound like say you have a conversation in your song where it's supposed to sound like a phone conversation. You could do a voice recording of you just holding up your phone and recording yourself, and then import that into another session. So you can always use this as an effect. It's if you think of your phone or tablet as like one microphone that you have in your arsenal, right?
Yes.
Well, you're down to 1% now, Will.
Yeah, I'm getting a little scared now.
Okay. I may take over if Will's thing shuts down here.
Yeah, and then I'll just pop back on.
Yeah, why don't you shut down like every
The
app that
screen
you don't
recording.
need
Yeah.
right now, and
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about mic stuff. Right,
Okay.
I'll
Excellent.
talk
Excellent.
about my mic while hopefully you get a little bit of
Yes.
love. Turn your screen brightness down or whatever too,
Yeah.
all the
And I
way.
think it's the screen share, I think, eats it quick too.
Okay. So here I'm just going to show you my microphone that I just picked up. This one's called the Blue Yeti microphone, and look, actually, right when I turned it around, the sound changed. Right, so we're going to talk about the different polar patterns and why it sounds different when I turn it this way versus when I turn it this
Oh,
way.
dude, that's great. You can hear that. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. So this is it's a USB mic. It takes no interface at all to go into. It's not the cheapest USB mic. They're like, but you can get a USB mic like this on Amazon for like $30. Not this one. This one's like 130, I think. But it has a lot of cool features on it, and 130 bucks for a microphone that does this much is actually a really good deal. I was surprised when I saw the cost that it actually does this much. This has this many features. You don't find mics that have all this kind of stuff. So on the front, it just has like I'm plugging my headphone directly into the microphone actually, so I don't hear any latency. It's my voice coming right just as the microphone hears it. I hear it. So that's a great feature too. Latency is delay. It's that something happens. It takes time for audio to be processed and go through your computer. It only takes milliseconds, but those milliseconds, you notice it. You get used to kind of recording with it, but it's great when you don't have it. When you don't have it, you notice it very much too. You notice it too. So that's the front. It just has volume of that. Sorry. The front just has like a volume for the headphone thing, but this isn't a gear demo. This is this is a description of kind of like what everything does with this. So everybody could see the back of that microphone pretty easily. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So we have different polar patterns. Polar patterns are really like how the microphone hears. The mic, like Will said, like the microphones are your ears in the studio. So this is just kind of like how your ears are going to interpret the sound that's in the studio. So this one has 4 different polar patterns. It actually, and I'll try each one out. All right. So one second. We'll go all the way to this side first. This one's stereo. So if I put that right in front of me, you can kind of hear it made it wide, right? It made all of the sound go far left and far right, and it's kind of cut out in the middle, right? So this is really good for if you're recording, like say you're recording an amp in a room and you want it to kind of sound just spread out. Anything that you want more spread out, that's going to be good for that stereo. All right. Next is this omnidirectional. Now, omnidirectional is going to be even more roomy. It's going to be even more roomy. You can hear how it already took it. Now you hear all the echoes all over the room because this is literally picking up sound from every direction. Omni, multiple, right? It's picking up all directions. So it sounds it sounds like I'm further away from the source, right? Even though I haven't changed it all, because you're picking up all of those different reflections, the reverb, especially where my mic is, it's kind of contained. So you're hearing a lot of different reverbs. They're all short because it's a small area. So the sound doesn't bounce too far. So it's getting back to the microphone really quick. And that's what reverb is. Reverb is the sound leaving the original source, in this case, my voice, hitting something else, hitting like a barrier, like the wall, and then bouncing back to the microphone. So the sound is going out and coming back. Now, it's not as simple as one source going and hitting a wall and coming back. It's actually each frequency that comes out of that source, like we talked about, the bass frequencies move slower, so they take longer to get there and back. And higher frequencies are fast, so they'll get there really fast. So you can always hear reverbs usually sound a lot higher pitched because those high frequencies hit the wall and came back faster. So that's the omnidirectional. You would use that more if you were like recording like a string section, right, or an orchestra or something, where you really want to hear the room. It's when you hear a violin player just right in front of you, it doesn't sound as good as when you get all of that reverb along with it. That's why orchestras are like in these big buildings, because the reverb makes it all glue together, and it makes it sound, it mixes it essentially, right? The room is doing the mixing when you're listening to an orchestra or a or like an opera. Anything like that. Okay, next polar pattern is the one I've been using, which is a cardioid pattern. I never say that word right. Cardioid, right?
Like cardio, it's heart shaped.
Okay, cardioid. Yes, it's heart shaped.
Yeah, it's a heart shaped pickup pattern.
And that one, so that one looks like this. Here to show you the heart shape. See it? And that's going to pick up the source really to the front and to the sides, but not in the back, right? So that's why I'm using it for this. I talked about doing it that we're going to get some speaker noise coming out of the computer. Well, if I set it up so that the back of the heart, which isn't picking up sound, right? Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's the heart pattern. I'm setting it up like this so it's picking up all of my voice, but cutting out that back. So we're minimizing the amount of sound. Like you can hear, I'm snapping behind it and you can't hear much. But then when I come out to the sides and the front, you can hear the snap, right?
Yeah, totally. And the, you know, that's a huge sound difference, right, between that cardioid and that omni that we were just using.
Yeah.
And right, and it's really, it's cutting out that back, right? And why the polar pattern Jared has on right now sounds so good and clear is because it's cutting out that sound of the desk right behind you, right? The omni was getting that boxy reflection
exactly.
right off the, right? So
this is getting the original source and cutting out any of the most of the reflections,
right?
The harsh reflections, the ones that we don't want for a voiceover, right? Essentially, I'm doing this is like podcasting or voiceover work where we just want to hear a voice with nothing else on it, right? If I had crazy reverb on, you would be like, why this is very annoying, right? You want to hear a natural sounding voice, like we're in the same room together. All right, and then finally we have a bi-directional, which this is going to pick up hello. So this is going to pick up front and back, but not sides much. So this, when I would use this is like, say Will was in the same room as me, and we were doing an interview over the same microphone. We would sit across the table from each other, and then we could both have this, have a conversation and record it, and we would both sound like about the same. But we're not going to pick up any of those reflections to the sides, and back, right?
Yeah.
So one more time, I'm just going to do I'll go through them very quickly, and then just go. And just do the same thing each time so you can hear them. All right, so stereo. Hey, check. Hey, check. Omnidirectional. Hold on. That dial's kind of sticks. Omnidirectional. Hey, check. Hey. Now cardioid. Hey, check. Hey, check. And finally the bi-directional. Gosh. Hey, check. Hey, check. So you can hear the difference, right? And I'm going to go back to this dial really doesn't like to turn too much. So there's cons. If I'm going to do my gear demo right now, cons. The dial sticks a little bit in the back. Right? Okay. How you doing? What's your battery looking like, Will?
I'm holding it 1.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know what? I'll try and join in over here with mine. And we'll talk a little bit about GarageBand for mine. Yes. And you can just chime in.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just have to join the meeting from another. Is anybody?
Cool.
Okay.
And
go ahead. You can chat.
Yeah, sure. Cool. So that that Jared was just showing with the polar patterns, pickup patterns, right? It's really important. But also it kind of brings up the question, right, which Jared was touching on, is like, what's the best one, right? What's the right choice? And it's going to be depends on what the source is, right? So what the voice or the instrument, and you know what that is, what the intended sound is, right? Is this a voiceover, or is this going to be like a backing vocal or something? And then the third piece, which is huge, is what does the room sound like? So with the more direct ones, like the cardioid, you know, there's less of the room sounds getting in there, but so it's less important. But you know, on that Omni setting, you know, most orchestras are recorded with Omni mics and stuff, so they're used a lot. But because they're picking up so much of the room, right? It's whether that Omni sounds good is going to be really important, really dependent on what the room sounds like. And by what the room sounds like, we're just talking about how sound bounces off the walls in that room, and what that does, and whether it's helpful to what we're trying to get, you know, trying to make.
Right. All right. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to pull up hold on a second. Okay, it should be pulling up here in a second.
Cool.
Okay, we're in, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pull up GarageBand. It's in here somewhere. Here's GarageBand, right? And I've got a bunch of updates that I haven't even looked at in GarageBand, so we'll see what pops up when we
Cool.
we jump in. This is I also have a recorder in here too, but GarageBand. GarageBand's on any Apple device, right? Are you getting a weird echo?
Yeah, that's I guess from the two different accounts and latency or something.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and cover the microphone on my iPad, so you're not hearing double. It's because there's two of me in the same room with two microphones. So
yeah, right. So what we're hearing is that's feedback right there. There's sound coming out of Jared's mouth. It hits one of the microphones, goes through the internet, comes out of the speaker of the other device, and then ends up back in the first microphone again, right? So
actually, where is the microphone on this? It's usually down. Well, anyway, no worries. We'll keep going and try to ignore that. I'll let Will do more of the talking. That'll be better. All right. So when you pull up GarageBand, you've got all these different options here that you can play with. To add a new session, just plus in that corner, and you can just pick. There's so many different options in what you can create. You don't need an instrument at all to build with GarageBand. Actually, if you wanted to record, you're going to need to have like either an interface, which Max actually has an interface at his spot. He's got a great one that's pretty cheap. It's affordable, called the Scarlett. It's the Focusrite Scarlett. 2 inputs, 2 outputs, I think. Maybe more outputs. But that's really all you need to record some bass or record some guitar or anything.
Yeah, those are great sounding units.
Yeah, great.
Now we can, even if we don't have an interface, we can still record audio live through GarageBand just using the internal microphone in the tablet, and that's in that audio recorder tab. Right. But yeah, and then so those other ones are they're like they're AI instruments. They're virtual. There's a virtual drummer there.
So actually, and here, this is actually great to start with. For anybody who doesn't know how to start recording or anything, there's these live loops. These are just fun to play with. Like if you like EDM or like DJ music, like this is a really good place to start. I don't do much EDM, DJ music or anything like that, but like what's fun about this is that I don't really need to know how to do, like I can just, it shows you how things work. It does a pretty good job of having some, so like for instance, here's like an EDM track. If I just pull up this thing, you guys hearing that?
Yeah.
So look, that's just like a kick, right? But then if I shoot down here, if I click down here, which is the arrows at the bottom, it'll play like all those. Getting hype up here, right? And then so it'll just loop this track, and then I can just pick a different one, and it'll. And you can see how like a TDM track might be built. And then I can solo certain things too. You know, if I wanted to just go back to just one thing, so like say I'll go to this. Go back to just kick. Anyway. Like I said, I don't know this one too well, but you can play with this. You can bring in your own samples. You can do all sorts of different stuff. So that's a fun one to play with. That I've done this with some students, and we've just built some like super hype tracks.
It's a fire track right there.
Yeah, right. So, and there's all these different options. So play around with there. We're just going to give you a quick overview. You could spend hours just going into what's going in GarageBand. But we'll just give you a quick little overview of what's going on. And then all these other different things. I think especially useful is this drummer. If you want to have just something to help you when you're writing, there's all these different drummers. If you click on the name of the guy or the avatar, the picture, you could pick all these different types. You know, Kyle's a pop rock drummer. Logan's a retro rock drummer. Darcy's a pop songwriter. Mason, you know, and especially when we're social distancing, all of these people are negative right now for coronavirus. They're all good. Every one of these people, it's still social distancing. They're actually fictional. None of these people actually exist. So you can't get a virus from somebody who doesn't exist.
My favorite part about this drummer thing in GarageBand is that like 2x2 matrix graph over there on the left, where there's the dynamics, loud versus soft, and then the complexity, right?
You can just pull around in here.
Yeah, and now
here I'll play it. Go ahead.
Right, so that could be recording, and we could be moving that around, and this is a lot like if you are ever a music producer and you're in a recording studio and you're talking to a drummer over the head, the talkback mic, and you're saying, all right, I want my verses like to be quiet but complex, and I want my choruses to be like loud but simple, right? Boom, right there. That's
this is it. And you can like actually see if you look at the track up top, it's gonna change. Right? You see how like the waveform changes and adds some stuff as I move around. Here, I'll actually, let's play it so you can actually hear. That's still the other thing, isn't it?
So
start a different session or just
sure. That thing up there that looks like it's like, I don't know, a brick wall or something. That gets you back to like the edit window, basically.
Oh, okay.
So if that live loop is there,
okay.
Great.
So now we've got Kyle rocking the kit for us, right?
Yeah.
Now if I move this around, you can also say like you want to add percussion to it.
So for that, there you go. Yep.
Some tambourine. Let's add some tambourine. Right?
And
that's like a cool thing to give. That's a cool thing to give like a lift. In a chorus, add a tambourine in your chorus. That's just going to make it sound a little bit more hype. It's just that extra frequency range. You'll find that a lot. Like, very rarely is there percussion going through an entire song. That's getting a little bit more into production, so we don't need to jump too far into that. But all right, Will, what do you want to jump into with?
So let's show people how to adjust master effects on a track. So let's
and recording. Sorry, let's do that first, right? record.
We can record over top of that drum
Yeah.
beat. Yep.
So
if we go,
if you just go to audio recorder, right?
yep. So add a new track, and the new track is an audio recorder track. Oh, I think we might have gone to new session here. Can you click on, Jared, that thing at the top left that looks like the brick wall type thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Good. Yep. So then if we click on that picture of the microphone on the left, that's how we access those individual kind of track settings there.
Right. And there's all these different kind of effects that you could do. Hello, is it?
Yeah. Now
hello.
studio.
It only is when you recorded, I think.
There's fun and studio. If you go over to
studios,
studio is more, right? So now we got like audio effects here. Producer effects and vocal effects tend to be better for kind of more serious music stuff. A lot of those are just, right? So boom, that's like presets, right?
Right.
And then there's going to be, each one of those presets does have some knobs that we can tweak. For vocals one, it's going to be like a compression and right. EQ usually. So let's just like click like lead vocals.
Okay.
So look, right there, we got a couple things happening, right? We have a compressor. So that, one way to think about that is that makes the voice feel like it's closer to your face, right? So like the more compressed it is, the more it brings it close. But it's making the appearance of it being louder by making the differences between loud and small less, and then the whole thing gets bigger. Tone, that's just like our bass and treble knobs, right? Like we're familiar with those. Pitch control is going to be some auto tuning effect that we can add on here. Drive.
This is a lot more stuff in it than I haven't been in here.
Oh, I know it's getting. Jude's asking a question here.
Okay.
Let me pull.
Does compressor basically take a wavelength and flatten it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, well, I think the best way to think of it is that it brings up the quiet and lowers the loud to make it more uniform, right? Is that it's squashing, like, and that's actually like a term that we use, or squashing is like, let's squash it down, or smashing it. That's another, that's when you really hit it with compression. You smash it so it's pretty much everything sounds the same volume. Which music is getting more and more and more compressed over the years. That is something it used to have a lot more dynamic variety to it, and it's pretty much becoming a pretty homogeneous, right?
Yeah.
So
and something to keep in mind is our ears naturally compress. Like we already have a compressor kind of built in.
Yeah.
Actually, the hammer and the stirrup and the whatever the other, those little bones in the ear, they're a compressor unit. And so that's lots of times why frequency responses are different at different levels. But yeah, when we're compressing something, we should always keep in mind that our ears are going to be compressing it anyway. So one, we don't want to over compress it. And then, but two, compression by itself is not an unnatural effect. It's just when we overdo it like crazy, it takes the soul out of it.
Cool. So you just mess with each of this. Drive is going to, I guess, add some harmonics to it.
Yeah.
Right? Harmonics are going to fill it out. Drive just like on your amp, right? If you're using the guitar amp, pretty much most people here are guitar players, so they'll get drive. Aubrey, I'm not sure you'll understand drive. Yeah. Well, it's just going to make it sound distorted, right? Okay. And then vocal hall, I guess, is going to be your reverb, pretty much.
Yep.
So we just record from this. See the red button at the top? Yo. Hey. Yo. Hey. All right.
Yeah, sounds like a hit.
Yo. Turn my headphones up.
So remember, so Jared's wearing headphones right now, which is great, right? Because when he was hearing on, that drum sound, right, that he was singing along to, that was just coming through his headphones. But if he wasn't wearing headphones, right, if we were doing this without headphones, we'd be getting that sound back in through the microphone. So
We
what
might
I'm
because I'm not plugged into the iPad with
yeah,
my
okay.
headphones.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have the
Okay, yeah.
volume, but I have the volume down very low. That's
Okay.
so I'm
Cool, cool.
minimizing bleed. All right, let's just
Great.
listen back. Okay.
It must not have gotten anything.
Yeah.
Let's check. God, I'm like poking my screen that it's gonna matter.
Hey.
It might be the channel. So you go down in the bottom left there, input source. So that's where our like input source is.
It's just saying it. You know what? I wonder if it needs some kind of interface. It may also be just because I'm recording on Zoom.
Yeah, it might be.
It may
Oh
be.
yeah, yeah.
It
You know
might
what? The
be a
Zoom's
processing thing.
Zoom's probably using the sound.
Hey, hey, yo, 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 hey, 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 oh, oh. Let's just try it again. So that's probably it. It's just that Zoom is using, so we can't actually record in this right now. But
Yeah. Okay.
this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it it will work for you. It's just that we're not using. And if you have any problems, let us know offline, and we'll help you out. But I think that's pretty much. And like I said, there's so much more in.
We got a question from AJ about tempo.
Okay.
And the answer is yes. You can change. If you go to top right corner, there's that gear thing, and tempo right there. Okay.
Right. Tempo, time signature. You can even like put your key in here if you wanted to. Oh, a good thing to know here, if you're building strictly a digital track, you're gonna and it's gonna probably be more than 8 bars, right? So this plus sign in the corner, if you're gonna build everything like I said in the box and not record anything, you might want to use this anyway. But if this only gave us 8 bars of the drummer, right? If I want more, I'm gonna press the plus sign in this right corner. Everybody see that? And then we can
Mhm.
add and we can either change that section and add more bars to it, right? So I can take that to 100 bars and make it all just one section. Or what I like to do, so I can split everything up, I'll add a new section and say like my verse is 8 bars and then my chorus is going to be 8 bars, right? And then you can keep on just adding sections. That way everything's spread is sectioned off, and then you can come back just to edit these things. Now, if you see right now, I have 2 sections, but one is highlighted, one isn't. So I can only really work on the one that's highlighted. So you're going to want to just, right, go back and forth. Or if you want all of them, you hit all sections and now it's all playing together. Okay. So that's a really good, that's something if you decide just to build using all instruments, which I've done. I've taught a lot of kids, a lot of people, students to write their own songs using just GarageBand. They don't even know how to play instruments. Like singers that don't know how to use play instruments. You can build like a pretty good demo. I could actually probably show you one real quick, and then we'll do like a little live Q&A after this. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on in GarageBand?
Yeah, just that right, kind of to bring the voice memo and GarageBand stuff together, right? So GarageBand, through that audio recorder, basically has voice memo built into it with a lot more capabilities. And right, so and one of the biggest things that makes GarageBand better is that it's a real digital audio workstation, which means that we can, you know, layer takes on top of each other, right? Layer tracks. So we could have our drummer playing, and then we listen to that drummer playing, and then we sing over top of it. And then maybe we could listen to us singing and drumming, and then we add guitar or some virtual instrument,
Right.
or something like that.
I didn't have the track that I was thinking of, but I do. So this one, actually, Josiah is not on this call, but he was in the other one. We just had some fun in GarageBand. Who knows the song "So Fresh, So Clean" by Outkast,
Woo!
right? we just built it all in GarageBand. I haven't listened to this in a while, but I think it's. I mean, it sounds.
So fresh and clean. So clean.
We built that in like a couple minutes, right? You just break it all down. So, that it sounds pretty MIDI what that was right there, but it is MIDI, which means all of these points here, we could have another virtual instrument play any of those tracks, the MIDI recordings. MIDI recording is just really data. MIDI is just it gets volume. So how hard you play a note, what note you're playing, how long you're playing a note. I'm pretty sure that's
it's like sheet music for the computer.
Yeah,
it's like not sending
what
the actual,
you play.
Yeah,
and pretty much just takes that data and stores it. All right, I'm gonna get out of. Anybody have any other questions with GarageBand? No. Good. Okay. We could do if everybody's interested more in GarageBand, we could do a full GarageBand clinic too. So let us know. I mean, I'll spend more time getting deeper into it, and we could even break these down, or we could do multiple GarageBand. We could do one just on drums, do one just on recording your guitar. So plenty of different options. All right, I'm gonna get out of my Zoom on this computer. So, is there a microphone off button? Oh, I could have just used that, I guess. Okay, and I'm back. All right.
Cool.
Let's just do here. I'll unmute.
Have you ever heard of Soundation? I was asking. No.
Okay.
Let me look up.
Here, I'm gonna unmute everybody. We've got enough people in here that are a small enough amount. And we can just let's anybody have any questions, anything that we can help you guys through? If you have anything. AJ?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
What would you want to get deeper into? If we were to do more clinics, like this was just kind of a kickoff, a trial run. What can we do more of?
I'm probably thinking more or less kind of like how to get the drums down.
Okay.
Because like for the song that I'm trying to work on for the songwriting thing, that's basically my Achilles heel.
Okay, drums. And you're going to play the drums, or you're going to use...
I was going to mainly use MIDI. I was thinking I was going to use just MIDI because the stuff that I'm trying to put down on my song, it's just too hard for me to play.
Okay. I would check out that... Do you have like some kind of Apple?
Yeah, I have GarageBand.
You do have GarageBand?
Yeah.
Play with that virtual drummer as much as possible. There's also not just the virtual drummer. There's just also a drum app in there, and you can play the drums on there too. And if you're going to do it that way, multi-track each thing out rather than trying to play your whole. I'm going to have Will actually talk to you a little bit about how he did the one album that he did with MIDI and everything to show you how minute detail you can get with stuff, how insane you can get.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm in the elbow though. I'm doing good. So, and you can play I would just play take one track and just do your kick drum and snare maybe.
Okay.
Right? And just go boom, ta, boom, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, boom, ta. And then you can even quantize that in GarageBand and get it super tight to the grid, and then go back and just do your hi-hat. Tick, 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 tick,
okay.
tick, tick, and then go in and just do some crashes. That's the way to do it if you're not a drummer, right? Even if you are a drummer, just think of it as breaking it's down. Like it's like taking your guitar and learning to play one string at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a lot easier to learn one string at a time.
Well,
guitar,
and actually,
right?
doing this can be also a really good exercise for drummers too, because lots of times when we're playing drums, we're not even really thinking about what we're doing. You know, so much is right. So if I have to take the time to think about, all right, dude, what's the bass drum part, right? And then you gotta just be like, boom, there's the bass drum part. You know, that can be a really good, And then
really when you separate each of those things out too, you can also go back and edit them further down the road. It's easier to edit when there's less, right? If you record a live band, we can't edit things out of a live band. But if I record just a guitar player, I can take edits of that guitar player. It's kind of that haircut thing we were talking about earlier. It's like live recordings sound great because there's an energy to everybody playing together, but it definitely has its limitations on the editing side. So you have to kind of know when you're going into a live recording, like, can these people pull off recording this live well? Because if they don't play it right, we can't go back and fix it. We can. It's much more difficult, and you won't get as good results.
It's editing something live like that. Fixing it always involves like losing something really important. Like you always have to cut out something that feels like it has a ton of energy in it.
Because it's glued together when it's live, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all glued together. Aubrey, any questions from you? No?
No.
Was this helpful? What would you want to learn?
Well, I revised my song. Some of the stuff you showed in GarageBand made me think that different lyrics would be better. I used something like really cliche that I didn't like as much because there was just like a gray area there. Yeah. But then I changed it to something I liked much better.
Nice. So, and play with like we said, homework yesterday from the songwriting. I would say homework today is if you have GarageBand, play with it. Like play with it for hours and take even a look at some YouTube videos to teach you how to do some stuff too. Like you guys are in a great space right now where all of this information is super available to you, and we're available to you if you have any questions. Like, that's the one thing a YouTube video can't respond to your question. Well, they can in the comments, but we might understand, because we know you, we understand. Max, you got any questions?
No, I'm just still trying to figure out how to sample vinyl a bit better.
Okay.
So you're going to, we talked about how you're going to get that. You want to get that. So Max was recording some of his parents' old vinyl or your old vinyl.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, now it used to be your parents. Now it's yours now, right? That's
I guess.
How it usually goes. And he's trying to record from his turntable, going through a receiver, which the receiver is just taking the sound from it's a power amp, essentially, just taking the signal from the turntable and boosting it to a higher level so that it can be amplified. So that's what a preamp does, is takes the level up. And then he's trying to get the audio from the receiver. Instead of going to speakers, he's going to take it to his interface, which is that Scarlett thing we talked about. The interface is going to take the analog sound, which is the sound coming out of the receiver, and turn it into a digital signal so that a computer understands what it is. And then so that's what we call AD conversion, right? It's analog to digital conversion. And then it actually, when you go playback in the computer, it's going to go DA conversion, digital back to analog, so that it can be sent out the speakers so we can hear it. So that's where the latency happens. The latency happens in its analog signal coming in, being converted into digital, being processed, then going back from digital into analog so we hear it. And it only takes like how long? Milliseconds. It's amazing that it really does all that stuff. We all get mad at our computers all the time. It's like, my computer's going super slow. Your computer's doing a million things a second. Like,
it's doing more than human beings have done for the
in a second it does more than you've done in your entire life.
Yes.
I mean, pretty much. So go easy on your computer. It's only designed to take so much, right? And we put a lot of abuse in our computers right now. Like there's millions of bits being translated and stuff right now while we talk. Joe, you got any questions?
No questions. Just trying to get an intro. It's always been an interest of mine. So
cool. And do you have? What would you be more interested in learning?
If I was recording from a bass amp or guitar amp, like what am I recording through a DAW? Just understanding how all that is connected.
Sure. So like the signal flow is kind of what you want to talk about. So how you're going to get from the amp into a computer.
Right.
So you would mic your amp most likely. Well, there's a couple different ways that you could do this. If you're using an amp, you could record close mic the amp or far mic the amp, but usually with amps we close mic them. And
we just lost somebody or something.
That's all right. I'm gonna mute the ones that didn't. So you would mic that guitar amp close, usually close, because then we're gonna take out all of that extra sound that we were talking about, and then you take the microphone and put it into an interface that's gonna change it over. Now you could either get a USB mic, and then you don't need an interface. It would just go straight into your computer, and your computer will read it as a mic. So that's like what I have right now with this blue microphone. It's just USB into computer, no interface needed. You still need a DAW. There's free DAWs, Audacity, GarageBand, those kinds of things are free. Now Audition is an Adobe product, and I think Adobe's giving away all of their programs right now for free because of the outbreak. So if you're thinking, if you're messing around, I just tried it out. I already have an Adobe subscription, but I did hear somebody said that they were giving it away for like a month or two for free. So you could try out Audition, and then it's like a monthly fee. Pro Tools, all different. Like Logic is on Mac. Logic I think is $300 total for their software. Pro Tools is on a monthly kind of thing, but that's all the different. There's so many different DAWs. You can't really go wrong. It's just going to be a different workflow, and once you learn that workflow, you're good to go. So then you could have an interface. If you didn't do the USB mic interface, you would just take your microphone cable, go directly into that, and that would go into the computer, and then or the DAW, right, your digital audio workstation. The other option would be don't mic the amp, have an interface plug directly into the interface, and now you're just going to take a dry guitar signal to the computer, and then you can actually use virtual amps and virtual gear. And if you would have asked us 5 years ago, we'd say like, don't use virtual amps, they suck. They don't anymore. They're like great. It's awesome. Like you have literally any amplifier in the world at your fingertips now. And the great part is you can edit it after the fact. So we actually did this with our last Real Feel album. We had Will plug into an amplifier head. So we got some tube compression and like some harmonics from the tube. And then we recorded it into the computer using no speaker. So we just went from the amp directly into directly in to our DAW, our interface, and then we used virtual amps based on like the song and like what we were going for, and then which definitely helps, especially if you're recording a lot of different instruments, because you have to find out where there's room for instruments, which is great after the fact. Like say we've already recorded keyboards, bass, everything like that, and then we find out like that initial guitar thing we did doesn't sound good in this mix, so we can mess with that amp. Does that help?
Yeah, no, it helps. Thanks.
Cool. Dude, you got anything? You got any questions, Jude? Yeah? No? Oh, he's asking questions maybe in here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's
next level.
What is the next level music creation service from GarageBand?
Yeah, it's kind of what you're just covering, Jared. Right, just the DAWs, like
Oh,
Logic.
okay, it's probably another DAW, which it's probably
Yeah.
like in between GarageBand and Logic. That's because Logic is an app. Logic is Apple, right? They actually create
Yeah.
that, so it's like Final Cut Pro to Apple, right? It's
Yeah.
like, so think of it that way. iMovie is GarageBand. Final Cut Pro is Logic, if that helps. Cool. So, was there any? The Adobe things are no longer free. Ah, really? Oh
Nah.
man. Okay. What? That was like. What were they free for? Like a week? Adobe. They take my money every month, and I sometimes now that's like why I'm using Audition, is because I was like, I'm paying for this, I might as well use it. Maher, any questions? No. Lisa or Keystone Ranger, I'm not sure who our Keystone Ranger 7 is. Any questions? Totally fine if not. Oh, Will, before we go, give us a quick talk about your Sweet Potato Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Infamy. What is it?
Okay, so this was like 2006, something like that. So this was kind of still not early days of music production software, but definitely not like where we're at now. And I had this idea that I wanted to be able to write big, complicated things that I couldn't play. And so what I found was I was like 19 or 20 or something like that at the time. But I used GarageBand, Guitar Pro as my MIDI sequencer, right? So I would build scores in Guitar Pro, export MIDI files from there. I then downloaded a MIDI engine. So I would take these MIDI files, which is like sheet music for a computer, and then a virtual instrument. So it was like the early days of like digital synthesizers in computers, and load those two things into a second program that would spit out an audio file, so it would be that virtual instrument playing this virtual sheet music that I made with MIDI. And then that audio file for every instrument, so there'd be like 20 different tracks, and I would put that all into Audacity, which is a free DAW, but it is super stripped down.
Yeah.
And
an open source. That open source, I think that's just for PC, right? Audacity.
I don't know. It might be.
I think because it's open source software, so you can just
that makes sense.
You can get plugins, like people just build plugins and you can use them. I think it's just for PC. So that's like the free version for PC is Audacity. Sorry.
But everything I just described, you can do now in the GarageBand version that's on a phone, right? So yes, there's all this, we're able to access all of these sounds and put together creative ideas quick, and we're able to, get ideas out and down as they come to us. Also, we're able to, have these situations where we can come up with new creative ideas that we may not have reached before, right? The fact that we got like those EDM loops or whatever, Jared was saying he doesn't do much EDM, but who knows, maybe if Jared wrote a song to those EDM loops, even if he doesn't play them in EDM, even if he plays it in his own style, right? He might be able to tap into something that he wouldn't otherwise, right?
Well, and and sorry, but there was all those other live loops, like there's rock loops, there's everything. So you could use those loops, and that's pretty much what that virtual drummer is. It's the live loops are pretty much taking, I think somebody composed some tracks in GarageBand and then put them all together so it can all just be organized easily to make it. So even if you don't want to mess with the whole recording side of it, you can create something. All right, I think.
Excellent.
Was there anything else you had, Will?
Not for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll keep you up to date. We'll get deeper into this. I'm still setting up like my home recording studio. Once we have that going too, we can actually take you through like the whole process of like setting up a mic and doing everything. We're still trying to figure out how this all works with the digital of the virtual lessons, but thanks, Will. We appreciate your expertise on the subject.
Yeah, man.
Again, anybody has any questions, reach out. We are happy to help. We're bored. I'm bored. I live by myself, so this is like the only human interaction I get right now. I'm just kidding.
I'll have to get that open
me and my
mic
neighbors wave to each other like, we're like, hey. Great. Thanks so much, everybody. I will definitely record this and send it off. So if you need any refreshers, or if you want to share it with somebody else, and we're good to go.
Yep. And any questions anyone has, even if they come to you like later on today or tomorrow, whatever, we're available to answer them. So.
All right. Later, y'all.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, guys.